We'd like you to sit back as we take you on a strange and mysterious journey into the history of one of the strangest and most unexplainable items ever uncovered, the Sphinx of Egypt. To this day, none of us really know how many secrets this structure may hold. Most of us are aware of its unique past, but we still have no idea who built the Sphinx or when it would have been built. According to ancient legends that have been passed down for many generations, the inside of the Sphinx is believed to hold irreplaceable knowledge that could be incredibly valuable to mankind. Today, we'd like to share the information that researchers have uncovered thus far, and maybe you can help us explain some of the strange mysteries surrounding this beautiful ancient structure. Be sure to stick around for point number 3, because it may turn your world on its head. If you like videos like this and want to see more, be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. Also, let us know in the comments what stories would you like to see us cover in future videos. A mysterious group of artifacts. We all know that the Sphinx is currently located fairly close to the Pyramid of Giza. Today, these two structures stand just on the outskirts of Cairo. However, many thousands of years ago, these two structures likely stood independent of one another, essentially being placed in the middle of the desert. For many years, it was widely assumed that the pyramids were used as burial chambers for elite Egyptian rulers. Because of this, many people began to refer to the Sphinx as the watchdog for Pharaoh Cheops' tomb. However, in more recent years, Egyptologists have begun to realize that there are no references to Egyptian burial practices found inside any of the pyramids. This essentially disproves the theory that these structures would have been used as tombs. Thus, this also disproves that the Sphinx had anything to do with Pharaoh Cheops or the pyramid that has been attributed to him. The pyramids have been rumored to have been used for countless things. Some people claim that both the Sphinx and the pyramids are magical places that may hold mysteries and uses that our minds simply cannot understand. Some people claim the pyramids would have been used for the generation of power or to harness the cosmic forces. Other researchers claim to have evidence that the structures would have been used to produce electricity or to harness electromagnetic energy. The honest truth is, we have no idea what they were used for. We also don't know why the Sphinx was built alongside them. However, in a more interesting historical twist, there's quite a bit of evidence that claims that the Sphinx may have been built many years before the pyramids. This hasn't been definitively proven yet, but researchers are getting closer and closer to an answer. If this is true, it could turn the entire history of ancient Egypt on its head. Time will tell. Is the Sphinx a building or a statue? One of the most pressing questions that researchers have is whether or not the Sphinx is simply a large monument, or if it may contain something buried deep inside. One of the strangest things that almost anyone will notice about the Sphinx is its unique size and shape. While certain photos make the Sphinx look incredibly large, it's actually quite small when compared to its surroundings. Researchers say that the Sphinx is approximately 20 meters high at its tallest point, meaning it's about 65 feet tall. With this in mind, the paws of the Sphinx are only slightly taller than the average adult male. Interestingly, the proportions of the Sphinx do not match up with a modern lion, meaning that there may be more hidden away inside of the 73-meter-long monument than some researchers would like us to believe. Some historians say that certain ancient documents lead them to believe that the Sphinx could have previously been a mysterious place of worship. Legends began to grow over many years that the Sphinx may have rooms hidden away inside, with some researchers saying that ancient texts lead them to believe that the Sphinx is now the dwelling place of a dark entity. Other sources claim that the Sphinx is the home to infinite knowledge, but we just don't know for sure. sure. However, one thing has become abundantly clear to all researchers. Whatever the Sphinx's true purpose was, it was not designed to simply be a beautiful monument. It served an integral purpose in ancient Egyptian culture. We just haven't figured out what that purpose is just yet. How old is the Great Sphinx of Giza? This is where things get incredibly interesting, so buckle up because we're about to take you for a wild ride. How old is the Sphinx? Well, for the moment, we don't know for sure. For many years, history books around the world claim that the Sphinx would have been built sometime during the 4th dynasty. If this is true, then the Sphinx would have been created sometime between 2613 and 2494 BC, making it just under 5,000 years old today. However, there was never any evidence found that would suggest that this information is accurate. From what we can tell, these estimates were just guesswork by early Egyptologists. However, in the years since these claims, we've learned that there's a large chance the Sphinx is far older than we've been led to believe. If the Sphinx were to have been built around 2500 BC, then it would have been created in the image of King Chephren. However, when researchers began to uncover artistic depictions of this king, they found that the structure bore no resemblance to him whatsoever. This meant that the Sphinx must have been built in a different time period. As experts began taking a much closer look at the Sphinx, they learned something else that was just as mysterious. They found evidence of water erosion near the base of the Sphinx. This is important because, as far as we know, this area of Egypt has been a sandy desert for thousands of years. However, if the water erosion at the base of the Sphinx is to be believed, that would mean the Sphinx must have been built many years before Egypt turned into the desert that we know it as today. This would place the construction of the Sphinx as far back as 7,000 to 10,000 years, if historians are accurate. However, certain biblical accounts would place the Sphinx somewhere around 6,000 years old. Regardless of which date you believe, one thing is for sure: the Great Sphinx was built many years before the pyramids were created. This would mean that the ancient Egyptians we've come to know and love may have created their own history and cities on top of cities that had already existed. Rather than the Sphinx and the pyramids being created by the same people, they were likely created by two entirely different cultures, thousands of years apart. Holes in the Sphinx. What you may not know about the Sphinx is that many times over the years, researchers have done their best to take a look inside of the structure, but they've always come back empty-handed. In the early 1800s, a researcher tried to bore a hole into the back of the Sphinx, about 4 feet behind its head. However, as he was doing this, the drill became stuck, and he stopped his efforts so as not to damage the Sphinx any further. By the 1970s, another researcher had come along and removed the stuck drill. He didn't find anything interesting when inspecting the drilled hole. However, one aspect of the Sphinx that's often overlooked is that many people claim that there was a hole in the top of the Sphinx that has since been sealed with concrete. This is a difficult theory to discuss because much of the evidence backing up this theory is trivial at best. In essence, some researchers say that in 1920, aerial photos were taken of the Sphinx. Allegedly, these photos show a large hole on top of the Sphinx. If you were to examine this area nowadays, you can see that a large circular hole has seemingly been sealed shut with modern cement. Some have speculated that this hole would have formerly been an entrance into the head of the Sphinx, but we just don't know for sure. It's possible that these older photos were doctored in later years, though it's equally possible that there really did used to be a large hole in the head of the Sphinx, and Egyptologists are doing their best to keep the truth hidden. It's possible that some researchers already know what's inside the Sphinx, as they've seen it firsthand. There's a chance that whatever they found in there, they wanted to seal it away so that no human would ever have to set foot in there again. What do mystics and other researchers say? This is, once again, where things begin to get very strange and otherworldly. One of the most well-known researchers who has spoken about the potential hidden truth of the Sphinx is named Edgar Cayce. He made claims more than 100 years ago that he had heard of a hidden library that was buried deep beneath one of the Sphinx's paws. He said that this library had come to be known as the Hall of Records and that it would contain all sorts of ancient information, potentially explaining the construction of the pyramids as well as the Sphinx itself. If these claims are true, they would perfectly align with the records of the Rosicrucians, a secret society that has been lost to time. These documents were published for the first time more than 100 years ago, and according to them, the Sphinx was being used to contain all sorts of valuable information about the Egyptians, ensuring that their history and lineage would live on for countless years. In 1989, a team of researchers from Japan wanted to find out once and for all what was located beneath the Sphinx. They began digging around the Sphinx, specifically around the paws, and they didn't find anything worth mentioning. However, another man claims to have caught wind of a secret that had been found beneath the Sphinx that the researchers were ordered to cover up. This is where things get weird. The researchers say that beneath one of the paws, the researchers found a deep shaft that led beneath the monument. Around this area, they found a clay pot with a rope that had been coiled in the center. He says that a secret research group that had been created by the government was ordered to look inside to see what they could find. Once these researchers made their way inside, they allegedly found a mysterious field of light that none of them were able to pass through. In essence, they were stopped by a bright door that could not be opened, no matter how much they tried. A mystic from this time period claimed to know how to open the door, but these rumors claim that what the researchers found led them to seal up the shaft and never enter it again, very similar to what allegedly happened near the head of the monument. Is there a city under the Sphinx? There have been unofficial reports spread over the years that make claims about an underground city that's located beneath the Sphinx. According to these reports, there are rumors of a 12-story building that was found underneath the Sphinx, with this building being filled with Egyptian historical records, valuables, and many other priceless artifacts. It's said that this building would have had tunnels that would lead to other nearby areas, essentially creating an underground network that would by all means function as a modern city. If this is true, there could have been an entire culture of people living beneath the Sphinx, and there may still be remnants of them to this day. Obviously, this is pure speculation, but the idea isn't as crazy as you may think. After all, underground cities and buildings have been unearthed from ancient cultures all around the world. Though the question must be asked, why would the modern Egyptian government want to keep these discoveries hidden from the public eye? Did they manage to find information that may alter the course of humanity? Edgar Cayce claimed many years ago that the mythical Hall of Records could be found beneath the right paw of the Sphinx. Interestingly, this is exactly where the team of Japanese researchers began digging all those years later. It was here that they allegedly found the aforementioned shaft and pot. Edgar claims that the Sphinx could have formerly housed more than 5 million people, belonging to an ancient culture that lived thousands of years before the Common Era. Some researchers even go as far as to claim that to this day, a mystical race of highly intelligent light beings live beneath the Sphinx, simply waiting for their day to emerge. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more videos just like it, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more uploads. And let us know what you think about some of these crazy theories about the Egyptian Sphinx. We'll catch you guys in the next video.